The boardroom air hung thick, like the pause before a storm breaks. Mark Harlan sat there, fingers drumming silently on the polished oak table, his face a mask of calm that hid the fire building inside. He'd been with Apex Dynamics for 13 years, the kind of tenure that turns a man into the backbone of a company without anyone noticing until it's too late. Across from him, the CEO's nephew, Tyler Voss, leaned back in his leather chair with that effortless smirk only inherited privilege can buy. Tyler had parachuted into the executive suite 6 months ago, fresh from an Ivy League MBA, with a title that screamed future leader and a grasp on reality as thin as his designer tie. "You need to apologize, Mark," Tyler said, his voice slicing through the silence like a dull knife. "Right here, in front of everyone. You undermined me in that investor call. And that's not how we do things at Apex." The room shifted uncomfortably. A dozen eyes darted between them, VPs, directors, the usual suspects who'd rather watch paint dry than witness this. Mark had simply pointed out, mid-presentation, that Tyler's revenue projections were off by $4.2 million because he'd ignored the latest supply chain data from the engineering team. Data Mark had compiled himself, late nights blurring into early mornings. It wasn't an attack, it was a correction. But to Tyler, whose uncle signed the checks, facts felt like insults. Mark met Tyler's gaze, his own eyes steady, the color of weathered steel. He didn't raise his voice, didn't clench his fists, just let the words hang there for a beat. 2 beats, feeling the weight of every stare. "All right," he said finally, the word dropping like a pebble into a still pond. No emotion, no edge, just acceptance that echoed louder than any shout. But inside, Mark felt the shift. That "all right" wasn't surrender. It was the click of a lock turning. The first step in a plan he'd been nurturing since Tyler's first blunder 3 months back. Back when the kid had botched a product launch timeline, blaming it on legacy engineering delays in an all-hands email that conveniently forgot Mark's warnings. Mark hadn't fought back then either. He'd just filed away the slight, like code in a hidden script, waiting for execution. As the meeting wrapped, Mark stood, code in hand, and walked out without a backward glance. The hallway lights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows that seemed to follow him to the elevator. He thumbed his phone, confirming the upload from the night before, a quiet submission to the internal compliance portal. Form YNG 47B. Transfer of proprietary access rights. It didn't look like much, a digital form buried in bureaucracy, but it was the key to everything Apex relied on. The engineering backbone he'd built from scratch, layer by layer, over a decade. By morning, the office hummed with its usual chaos, coffee machines gurgling, keyboards clacking, the faint scent of printer ink and ambition. Mark arrived at 7:45, as always, but his desk was already a ghost. Cleared out. Not a stray post-it or family photo left behind. His monitor sat dark, chair tucked in neatly. Sarah from procurement noticed first, poking her head in. "Mark, you okay?" But he wasn't there. He'd clocked out for good. Badge surrendered at security the night before. The first ping came at 8:15. "Systems down," someone muttered in the Slack channel. Then another. "Can't access the core dev repo." By 8:30, it was a cascade. Product pipelines frozen. Deployment scripts erroring out with access denied. Custodial lock engaged. The engineering floor turned into a war zone of frantic refreshes and whispered curses. Tyler strolled in around 9, latte in hand, oblivious at first. "What's the holdup?" he barked at a junior dev, who stammered something about permissions. Tyler waved it off. "Just override it. Use my admin creds." But the screen blinked red. "Invalid. Contact primary custodian," Harlan. That's when the air changed. Legal got looped in by 9:45. Emma Ruiz, the no-nonsense counsel with a reputation for dissecting contracts like a surgeon, marched into the exec suite with a printed binder.
She didn't sit.
"We have an issue," she said, voice level but laced with the kind of gravity that makes spines straighten. Mark invoked Clause 14 in his employment agreement. It's a custodial provision for the proprietary systems he developed. Tyler's uncle, CEO Victor Voss, looked up from his desk, bushy eyebrows knitting together. "What the hell does that mean?" Emma flipped to the tabbed page. "It means the engineering platform, the one handling 80% of our product lifecycle, is under his temporary custody for 30 days post-resignation. We can't access it without his sign-off. And we missed the reassignment window." Victor leaned back, the leather creaking under his weight. "He can't just
take it."
"That's RIP. Not take," Emma corrected. "Control. He built it on company time. But the clause grants him guardianship to ensure smooth transition. It's legacy from the early days, when we were bootstrapping and relied on key engineers like him." Tyler snorted. "This is ridiculous. He quits in a huff because I called him out. And now we're locked out? Sue him." Emma's eyes narrowed. "We can't." He followed protocol. Silent exit under 12G, no notice required for protected roles. "And that all right in the meeting?" It was his verbal acknowledgement. "You pushed for public humiliation. He gave you a quiet out." The room fell silent, the kind of hush where you can hear your own pulse. Victor's face reddened, but not from anger, at least not all of it. Regret flickered there, buried under layers of boardroom bravado. Mark had been the quiet force, keeping Apex afloat through recessions, pivots, and pandemics. And now, one nepotistic misstep had yanked the rug out. By noon, the fallout spread. Client demos crashed mid-pitch. Beta testers reported glitches that traced back to the locked repo. The stock ticker on Victor's screen dipped 1.2%. Whispers of technical difficulties leaking to investors. Tyler paced, phone in hand, barking at IT to find a workaround. But there was none. Mark hadn't sabotaged anything. He'd just enforced the rules everyone else had ignored. In the break room, whispers turned to stories. "Remember when Mark fixed that server outage at 3 a.m. during the holiday rush?" one engineer said. "Guy never asked for credit." Another nodded. And Tyler? He couldn't code his way out of a for loop. Laughter. Bitter and low. But it built. The undercurrents of resentment toward the Voss dynasty simmering to the surface. Victor called an emergency huddle. "We offer him a package," he decided. "Consulting gig. Bonus, whatever it takes." But deep down, he knew Mark wasn't coming back for money. This was about respect. The kind earned in trenches, not handed down like a family heirloom. As the day dragged on, Mark sat in his modest Denver apartment, overlooking the Rockies dusted with early snow. His phone buzzed with missed calls, but he let them ring. The tea in his mug steamed gently, a bonsai on the windowsill catching the light. He'd pruned it that morning, each snip deliberate. Calming. The system wasn't his anymore, not really, but for 30 days, it was his shield. And Apex? They were learning the hard way, what happens when you break the quiet ones. The second day dawned with a chill that seeped into Apex's glass-walled headquarters, matching the frost settling over the teams. Emails flew like shrapnel. Pipelines still down? Any word from Mark? Clients are furious. Lost a demo slot. Victor Voss arrived early. Unusual for a man who preferred power lunches over dawn patrols. His office overlooked the bustling Denver skyline, but today it felt like a cage. Tyler hovered nearby. "Ty Askew," eyes bloodshot from a night of futile hacking attempts on his personal laptop. "We can rebuild it," he insisted. voice cracking with forced confidence. I've got contacts at a startup. They can spin up a mirror system in weeks. Victor shot him a look that could curdle milk. Weeks? Our Q3 rollout is in days. You think investors will wait while we play catch-up? He slammed a fist on the desk, the sound echoing. Tyler flinched, the nepotism shield cracking under the weight of real consequences. Emma Ruiz joined them, tablet in hand, her expression unchanging. I've reviewed the contract again. Clause 14 is ironclad. Mark embedded it during the 2021 renewal, when we were integrating new AI modules. The board signed off, including you, Victor. Victor's jaw tightened. I don't remember that. Because you didn't read it, Emma said plainly. No judgment. Just fact. Mark presented it as a safeguard for system integrity. No one questioned it because he delivered results. The truth stung. Mark had been the unsung hero, the engineer who turned chaotic code into seamless operations. He'd mentored juniors, optimized workflows, and saved millions in downtime. Tyler? He'd coasted on charm and connections. His innovations, often recycled from Mark's old proposals. By 10 a.m., the board dialed in virtually, faces pixelated but tension crystal clear. This isn't a glitch, one director said. A venture capitalist with a voice like gravel. It's a hostage situation. How did we let one man hold the keys? Emma fielded it. He doesn't hold them hostage. He holds them legally. We have 28 days left to negotiate transfer. Negotiate? Another barked. With a disgruntled ex-employee? That's weakness. Victor interjected. He's not disgruntled.
We
pushed him. Eyes turned to Tyler, who shrank further. The narrative shifted in real time, from system failure to leadership fiasco. Meanwhile, in the engineering bullpen, morale teetered. Without the platform, work ground to a halt. Developers stared at blank screens, resorting to manual spreadsheets that felt archaic. Whispers grew bolder. Tyler's ego did this. Mark warned us about those projections. A quiet rebellion brewed, loyalty tilting toward the man who'd actually built things. Victor drafted the first outreach, a formal email offering a transition consulting role with a hefty retainer. It reeked of condescension, implying Mark needed them more than vice versa. Sent at noon. No reply. Just an auto response. Unavailable. Refer to clause 14. 28 days remaining. The slap of it landed hard. Tyler paced the office, muttering. He's bluffing. No way he walks away from his baby. But Mark wasn't bluffing. In his apartment, he reviewed the message, a faint smile tugging at his lips. He stepped onto the balcony, crisp mountain air filling his lungs. Below, the city pulsed with life, trucks delivering, people hustling. Apex was just one cog in that machine, and he'd ensured it wouldn't grind him down. Afternoon brought escalation. A major client, a Fortune 500 retailer, threatened to pull their contract over delayed integrations. Stock dipped another 0.8%. Investors called, demanding explanations. Victor's phone rang incessantly, each conversation chipping at his facade. In a side room, Emma pulled Victor aside. This isn't about money. It's about the apology. You let Tyler humiliate him publicly. Mark's response is private, precise, poetic, even. Victor rubbed his temples. What do we do? Swallow pride. Make it right. But pride was Victor's currency, handed down to Tyler like a tainted inheritance. By evening, LinkedIn buzzed. Mark's profile updated, exploring advisory opportunities in systems architecture and continuity planning. Comments flooded in, praise from former colleagues, headhunters circling. One from a rival firm's CTO. Mark's the real deal. Built empires quietly. GME. Tyler saw it, face paling. He's shopping himself. Good for him, a voice said from the doorway, Sarah from procurement. Bolder now. The power dynamic shifted. The quiet ones were finding their voices. Night fell, and Victor sat alone, staring at the city lights. Regret gnawed, not just for the chaos, but for undervaluing the man who'd held it all together. Mark, meanwhile, trimmed his bonsai under a desk lamp, each cut a release. The countdown ticked on, a silent reminder that respect isn't demanded, it's earned. Day 3 hit like a hangover after a bad bet. Apex's halls echoed with urgency, phones ringing off hooks, urgent meetings stacking like Jenga blocks. Victor Voss called the full board in person this time. No screens to hide behind. The conference room smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Air thick with unspoken blame. Timeline, Victor demanded. Voice gravelly from sleepless nights. Emma laid it out. Mark's clause activation. The silent resignation. The lockouts' ripple effects. We've lost 3 client touchpoints already. Projections show Q3 revenue short by 15% if unresolved. A board member, Elena from finance, leaned forward. Why push him? Victor? For Tyler's pride. Tyler's chair creaked as he shifted, but he stayed silent. The golden boy tarnished. Victor's eyes flashed. It was a correction. Mark overstepped. No, Elena countered. Tyler aired. Mark fixed it. You chose family over facts. The room tensed. The fracture widening. Nepotism. Once a quiet advantage. Now, a glaring liability. Discussions turned to damage control. Interim manual processes. Hiring freelancers to patch holes. But nothing stuck. Mark's system was too intertwined. A web of custom algorithms only he fully understood. Down in engineering. Frustration boiled over. A senior dev,
Jamal.
gathered a huddle. Mark built this from nothing. Tyler treats it like his playground. Nods rippled. We could reach out. But loyalty clashed with fear. Contacting Mark could mean crossing lines. Victor's next move, a personal call. He dialed Mark's number. Heart pounding. Voicemail. Mark. It's Victor. Let's talk. We value you. Come back. Name your terms.
Click.
No callback. Mark. Hiking a trail outside Denver. Felt his phone vibrate. He ignored it, focusing on the crunch of leaves underfoot, the vast sky above. Freedom tasted sweet, unburdened by corporate chains. Back home, he checked emails, not Victor's, but offers from competitors. One stood out, a startup needing systems expertise. Equity on the table. At Apex, chaos mounted. A product launch delayed. Press release scrapped. Stock slid 2.1%. Investors murmured leadership concerns. Tyler, isolated now. Tried rallying strategy team. Will pivot to cloud alternatives. But eyes rolled, his credibility evaporated. Emma cornered Victor post-meeting. Offer real change. Amend policies to protect key contributors from this. Victor nodded wearily. A new draft. Full apology. Policy overhaul granting engineers veto on projections. Sent at 4 p.m. Auto-reply. Clause 14. 27 days. The rejection burned. Tyler exploded in private. He's destroying us. But Victor saw the mirror. Their actions had invited this. Evening brought reflection. Victor recalled hiring Mark, a quiet interview. But his demo sealed it. He was gold, he muttered.
Now.
That gold was leverage. Mark ended his day with tea, watching sunset paint the mountains. The system's hum, once his constant, was silent. But peace filled the void. Apex learned slowly. Arrogance crumbles under quiet strength. As the board dispersed, Elena pulled Tyler aside in the hallway, her voice low but cutting. This isn't just about systems.
Kid.
It's about people. Mark didn't quit because of one meeting, he quit because of a pattern. Your pattern? Tyler's face flushed. But he had no retort. He dismissed Mark's input in strategy sessions, overridden his warnings on scalability, all while claiming credit for successes that stemmed from Mark's groundwork. Back in the exec suite, Victor poured a scotch, staring at financial models now riddled with placeholders. How did we get here? He whispered. Flashbacks, promoting Tyler over seasoned vets, ignoring murmurs of discontent. Ego had blinded him. In engineering, Jamal took a risk, texted Mark, "We miss you. This place is falling apart." Mark's reply, "Focus on the work. It'll sort itself." Cryptic, but hopeful. By nightfall, another client bailed, citing reliability issues. Victor's phone lit with bored texts, "Fix this or step aside." Pressure mounted, the empire wobbling on foundations Mark had laid and now withheld. Mark slept soundly that night, dreams free of deadlines. Apex tossed in turmoil, the lesson etching deep: undervalue the builders at your peril. Week 2 dawned with Apex in survival mode. Manual workarounds cobbled together, but inefficiencies bled time and money. Victor's administrative leave loomed as rumors swirled. Tyler was reassigned to a peripheral project, his influence neutered. Emma led negotiations, drafting terms honoring Mark's conditions, permanent clause protections. Engineer led reviews. No more top-down overrides, she insisted. Board approved swiftly. Desperation fueling compliance. Offer sent, apology included. Signed by Victor. "We regret the public demand and value your contributions." Mark read it at his kitchen table, sunlight streaming in. He pondered, fingers tracing the bonsai's branches. Not vengeance, but justice. He responded, conditions met. Transfer in 48 hours. Relief washed over Apex. Systems flickered back online post-handoff. Green lights blinking like forgiven sins. But scars remained. Victor's leave became permanent. Tyler exited quietly. New policies enshrined respect for expertise. Mark consulted selectively, building anew. Apex stabilized, but forever changed, humbler, wiser. The story lingered. What price for pride? In corporate halls, it whispered, urging caution against breaking the quiet pillars. The board's approval came at dawn, a unanimous vote born of necessity. Emma's email to Mark was concise, attaching the ratified policies and Victor's personal apology. "I erred in prioritizing family over fairness. Your work sustained us. My actions undermined it." Mark hiked again, a phone in pocket, letting the message marinate. Nature's rhythm, wind through pines. Distant bird calls, clarified thoughts. This wasn't about ruin, it was recalibration. His reply? Sent from a trail overlook. Accepted. Initiate transfer protocol. At Apex. Cheers echoed in engineering as access restored. Dashboards hummed. Backlogs cleared. But the atmosphere shifted, gratitude mixed with wariness. New hires learned Mark's legend, the man who wielded contracts like code. Victor packed his office. Reflections heavy. I built this company, he thought, but forgot who kept it running. Tyler, in his new role at a smaller firm, faced reality without safety nets. Growth. Painful but possible. Mark thrived, advising firms on resilient systems. His story became folklore, quiet power triumphs. Yet the question hung, in a world of loud ambitions, who truly holds the reins? In the aftermath, Apex rose from the ashes. Leaner, more equitable. Policies Mark inspired prevented future fiascos, fostering collaboration over hierarchy. Emma advanced to general counsel, her role pivotal in the rebuild. Engineers gained voices in strategy, innovation flourishing. Mark's advisory work took him coast to coast, sharing wisdom without chains. A quiet life, enriched by purpose. Victor's retirement brought introspection, books written, lessons shared on leadership pitfalls. Tyler, forged in failure, built his own path, earning respect through merit. The tale echoed. Arrogance invites downfall, humility endures. What ethical lines do we cross for power? The answer, in silence, lingers. Months later, at an industry conference, paths crossed. Victor spotted Mark across the room, approached hesitantly.
"Thank you," he said simply.
Mark nodded. It was necessary. No grudges, just understanding. Apex thrived under new leadership, stock rebounding. Mark returned home, bonsai thriving. Life's clauses, he mused, protect the core. The story's moral haunted in human conflicts. True victory is systemic change, not personal ruin. What would you sacrifice for justice?